Hello, Obooters from around the world. My name is Kais, and I am 11 years old, and I live in Montreal, Canada. Welcome to our Oboot Zoom session, where me and my co-host Meriem, who is 14 years old and currently lives in Bizerta in Tunis, and Anis, who is 13 years old and currently lives in London in the United Kingdom. We'll be interviewing our guest changemaker, Sarah El Battouty, who is based in Cairo in Egypt. Sarah is an architect and the founder of ECOnsult, an award-winning design company and a leading green building consultancy in Egypt. Sarah and her team are constantly innovating to make buildings more ecological and economical. Sarah's work contributes to several sustainable development goals, but more especially to the SDG number 11, sustainable cities and communities. Meriem and Anis will take turns to ask questions to Sarah about her background, her journey, her work, her skills, and her impact. We hope that you will enjoy this session, and I will now be handing you guys over to Meriem to ask the first question.
Hello, Sarah. I want to ask you, as I see you are interested in the environment. So have you been interested since you were a kid, or a day you just realized that the environment needs help and you just need to make a change?
I've actually, well, first of all, hi everyone. It's an absolute honor for me to be speaking with you guys, and you seem to be well ahead of your game and, very poised and stuff. You seem to be professionals. So yeah, the first question is a great one because we grew up at a time, and this is back in the 80s, where the discussion of climate change wasn't as obvious and as apparent and urgent as it was today. We were still growing up trying to figure out, what's going on with the planet. And I remember as a kid, we were very occupied, or I was at least very occupied with global warming and what was happening with the depletion and ruining of the rainforests. And that was early on. That was about when I was 8 or 9 years old. And I became really interested with this idea of how the activity of us as people affects the planet around us. So this is when it really started. But it started with the Amazon and saving the Amazon forest, which was, miles and miles away from home. But the concept was very interesting to me, and it hasn't stopped since.
Okay, that's great. This is actually a topic I'm really interested in. So, like on all aspects, like architecturally and environmentally. But what advice would you give to aspiring architects wanting to make a positive impact on the environment?
Okay. Well, first of all, I would, I'm very good at receiving advice more than, giving advice. But I would love it if architects think more about the community and the impact of the building that they built on the surrounding environment. This is number one. And also because we have many architects that become celebrities for their design, and for what they bring and the concept and the meaning and stuff. And I think what we need more to see is less of the architect and more of the consideration for the context and the environment, so that we do behave like designers, enjoying our statements and our work and stuff. But I just think we need to think after we leave and after the design is celebrated and after people move in, how can a building continue to contribute positively, and how can it stand as a message to the world about doing better for things around us? So that's what I would think, is just become a bigger person than just being your job. Do something for the world, kind of thinking.
Yeah.
So Sarah, do you think you're a successful person? Do you think that you're really making a change, and are you proud of your work?
I hope I'm a successful person. I definitely hope that. I think I am very proud of my work, but I also, the one thing that makes me confident about doing something that I love is very important. So I go to work and I believe very much in what I'm doing. And so I believe that, I have a cause and I have a job, and the two of them have successfully come together. So I hope with that I'm successful.
Okay. Sarah, did you choose to go down the eco route in architecture from the outset, or was it more accidental?
No, I chose. I have, my whole family are architects, and I could have become an architect and just worked with them. But I've always, since I was younger, been very occupied with the future of architecture having to change, because we live in a world that is full of changes. We can't keep doing everything the same way. It won't work. So from the onset, I was always very, very uncomfortable with the idea of ignoring climate and ignoring the environment, or just let it be a side topic to my career. So I decided to do that, and I studied architecture, and then I went and I committed to study environmental impacts while I was working. And I started my company by selling my car, because I wanted to start a company and do something on my own, and I didn't have anyone to help me. So I sold my car, I got a little bit of money on the side, and I was able to start completely on my own with this dream that I had of making a green building company in Egypt.
So you didn't get any financial help from your family, or did you get financial help, or just a moral help, or none of the both? None of them.
Good question. I got a lot of moral help, but I didn't get any financial help from anyone at all. The moral help was very, very important, because they saw, they were saying, well, you seem to be obsessed with something, and you want to go chase your dream, and you don't want to work with us. But go ahead. But having people encourage you, and having parents encourage you, and friends, is very important when you are starting something and you are struggling to start. So it's incredibly important, and you are all lucky now, because you live in a world where you are talking about similar passions, and you're so connected. I mean, even if you don't find it right next to you, you can get online and you can connect to people and friends who are like-minded like you, and find support. And I think that's a great thing for anyone growing up right now. Probably this is just the best thing about social media, actually. The rest is
Okay, so what do you think is the most positive impact from the work you've done so far?
Definitely the most positive one, there's two. The most positive one is actually convincing governments and the president of Egypt and people who make very big decisions every day to bring climate action and green buildings as a policy for Egypt. So I feel this is a great success to manage to convince the decision makers to do this. This is on one hand. On the other hand, I'm very happy that we were able to make people's quality of life and the comfort that they feel in our buildings reach them, and also to have a positive impact on the environment and not a negative impact to changing the way we do the designs. So it's various different levels of who we want to target and how we measure success.
So what is the hardest thing you've been through while doing your job? And what are the struggles you face every day in your job?
That's a great question. well, first of all, the hardest thing was that the first thing, the support was very little when I started, and so I had to be very determined on my own. The second thing is finding people who think alike and building your team. So it's like you're a group of people and you have to have the same interests, you know. It's like going to play football, but people don't want to play football, they want to dance ballet. So someone is going to be going to have two left feet. So aligning and finding a like-minded team to support you and work with you. And another challenge is that also there are not very many women who work in buildings and construction. So you girls will relate, you know, but this is changing now. So there's a lot of positive stuff, you know, and a lot of encouragement now. Did I miss another part of the question?
No.
Okay.
No. Which of the 17 SDGs do you think we are furthest away from achieving?
Oh. I can say, I definitely think that equality, you know, is a very broad one that we should watch out, because it is not just equality between girls and boys, it's also equality and opportunity to access to education, access to clean drinking water. So this is the one where I think when you see gaps, big gaps between people and what they have and other people and what they don't have, this is the one that really would keep me up at night. So definitely equality and tackling poverty. The other one is climate change, but it's now becoming very high on the agenda because climate change relies on science and it relies on us to think of the future and to make decisions today that are for the protection of people that we don't even know that will come in the future. So you guys and myself are now working towards something to leave a better world for people that we haven't met yet. So it's a very, it's a very conscientious way of thinking. So I think these two are the ones that will need a lot more work.
Sarah, you said before that you work in a team. What do you think are the benefits of working in a team and the disadvantages?
Yeah, you have to work on a team because you have to build the team so that the first thing is that the work is not affected if you are not there, you know. This is number one. And when you build a team, you end up that this team becomes a bigger team, becomes a community, becomes a change maker and a leadership of thought and ideas and action. So if you work individually on your own, it can work in different businesses, but in green architecture, we need to spread this message as much as possible. So I work with a team who I learn from and I teach, and we spread it, like, you know, we're like activists. We are spreading this message. So there needs to be the more the merrier.
Okay. Do you think we have a hope to rebalance the planet's ecosystems within the next 10 years? And how can architecture make a difference?
Okay. So scientifically, repairing what has been damaged in the world is something that the science itself is questioning whether we can do all of this repair after all of this damage. But what we definitely can do is to reduce the amount of damage and slow down the harm that we are causing to the planet. And I think this is very important. The hope that we have is after we slow down the damage, we will have better science and better innovation and better leaders like yourself that will come in and use technology and do the repair work. So it takes, it takes a real big movement to do this. And I think that, more and more countries are taking climate change very seriously because they can see the effects of climate change on people's health, on nature, on the environment, and also on the economy, and now on the politics. So it is becoming a very, very important topic. We can't ignore it anymore.
What did you exactly study to prepare for this work?
I studied architecture at the University of Cambridge, and then I studied climate change policy, and I studied project management in faraway areas that are not privileged, poor communities at SOAS University in the UK. And I also studied sustainable development. I study a lot. So it, just to become a green architect, I think I needed to know more about climate science and more about management and how to manage project. And these are things that are not integrated in architecture learning. But I definitely, back to your question, Anis, that, what would I advise? I would definitely advise us all never to stop being curious and learning.
Okay. That's all my questions. Meriem, do you have any more?
Yes, I do. I think that a change maker is not just some, we're not supposed to ask him just about his work, because change maker have his own beliefs. So I want to know about your childhood and how did it affect your personality now?
Yeah, well, I was very busy as a child. My family are very artistic. They are architects and designers and artists, and so I come from a family that has always taught me to be engaged with the surroundings. And growing up, I was I was very aware of art and dance, and I really just thought I would become an architect and work with my family. Once I started getting interested in climate change, I learned fairly early on to start enjoying reading a lot more, because that was the only way I could get my knowledge. We didn't have social media then. We didn't have Google back then. So it was very difficult. When you wanted to learn about something, you had to go and find out about it in a library or go buy a book. So it was a very different world. And I also loved ballet dancing as a child. So it was, this is how I grew up. A little bit growing up amongst your friends when you are busy and you have hobbies and you have other interests, you're not cool. It was difficult to be one of the cool kids if you're always doing something outside school and running from one class to the next and stuff. But I'm very, very lucky that I have a great bunch of friends that have always also supported the fact that I'm a bookworm.
And what was your biggest dream when you was a kid? When you were a kid?
Yeah, the biggest dream when I was a kid, for some strange reason, I always imagined myself working in impact and doing something with a cause that affects people's lives to make them better. And I always imagined myself giving a speech, and I didn't realize, who I was giving the speech to and what was the speech about, but I always imagined myself, doing that. So this was my biggest dream. In a way, I am realizing this dream. It's also challenged itself to the fact that I am working on impact, and I am doing a lot of teaching and sharing my knowledge as much as possible, because I think that's the best thing you can do as a change maker and a leader, is to keep on giving what you've learned and your hard work and your experience to others to help them become, you know, to help them borrow your lessons. So I hope so. So maybe, yeah, I dream to be a teacher of some kind.
Okay. Do you guys have any more questions? No? Okay. What's the difference between a green building and a normal building?
Ooh, good one. So a normal building is a building that is designed for what it's supposed to do. So if it's a school, it's a place where kids go and learn. It's a place where, so conventional buildings, which is the right word for normal buildings, are buildings that are designed for a specific reason. A green building is designed to do that specific reason, but also a green building is designed so that it has a positive contribution to the place that it's in. So it's there to save energy, it's there to save water, it's there not to cause more pollution, and it's there to lower carbon emissions. Therefore, not only would it be a place where a school for kids to go, it would be a school that has a message to contributing to society, and also a school that doesn't do any harm in the way that it's built. So it's literally just taking everything a step further.
I have one more question. Do you have any advice for somebody who wants to become an architect or a change maker?
I think for architects is pretty straightforward. You know, think beyond yourself. Don't think that you are designing something great unless it works well for the people who are going to use it, and it works well for the planet and the context and the community that it's in. So that's for architect. And for a change maker is to pace yourself. Don't rush into making the change and the success. You have to be patient. You have to build up your knowledge and your experience. And also you have to be very true to yourself, you know, what you believe in, what you want to change, what you're passionate about, because the best change makers in the world are the ones who are very genuine about what they're doing, not what others want to see them do. So that's my advice.
All right. So thank you, Sarah, Meriem, and Anis for the great discussion and for everything that we learned today. Thank you, Obooters, for listening to this interview. Make sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can hear about upcoming sessions with other change makers. Please also tell your friends about Oboot and share social media links with them. And last but not least, go to www.oboot.co to learn about opportunities to collect digital badges and help us draw down carbon.